Chelsea, 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 Chelsea. 160 million to give away a penalty. Chelsea, Chelsea, Chelsea. Oh, you know what? Sorry for the 5-minute delay in the live stream, but I just saw a penalty and I was like, I was going to go live and then I was like, there's a penalty. Let's watch it. Because Chelsea were playing against 10 men West Ham for 35 minutes and they were pony. I thought Man United were bad and I thought everyone else was good. And I am still angry about Man United. And this video is, I'll be honest with you, this is a rant video about why we need Qatar and why the Glazers need to leave. And we're going to talk about yesterday's game. But does anyone else just want to thank Chelsea for just making them feel a little bit better? This football has upset me this weekend. I've been in a foul mood today. I was in a foul mood last night. But I'm really happy that Chelsea have just made me, and I don't know if you guys feel the same, just made me feel that little bit better. Thank you very much, Chelsea Football Club. Chelsea, 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 Chelsea. Let's go. I'm going to talk about Man United. This is more of a chit-chat stream than a news stream. We're going to talk about yesterday's game. You know, Ten Hag making some mistakes. Is Ten Hag's job on the line? We're going to talk about Qatar, why we need Qatar to put in a new bid. There's obviously rumours that Qatar are going to put in a new bid, but I think that game yesterday highlighted more than anything why we need Qatar to make a new bid. The title of this video is Glazers Leave Now Rant. We need Qatar to put in a bid, and potentially is Ten Hag's job on the line. So they're going to be things I'm talking about. I like Casada, but he comes on and he gives away a penalty. Absolutely hilarious as well. 1 billion spent just for a 3-1 loss. A 3-1 loss to people. Someone said clickbait. The title is Qatar, please make a new Man United takeover big. Glazers leave now. Rant. This isn't a news video. This is a video talking about is Ten Hag's job on the line, talking about the match yesterday, talking about Chelsea, laughing at Chelsea, talking about the takeover, why we need Qatar, and all of that. It's more of a chit-chat show as well, but I'm absolutely in a much better mood now, guys. Absolutely in a much better mood. And I want to talk about yesterday's game because I think there is a bit of an overreaction. We've only played 2 games. Look how Man United were after 2 Premier League games last season. What I will say to you is, look where Man United were after 2 Premier League games last season, you know, and look how the season ended up. We overachieved. We came 3rd. We won a trophy. Man United, after 2 games last season, came 3rd. They won a trophy. Man United, after 2 games this season, everyone is acting like it's the end of the world. It's only the end of the world if Man United do not replace Fred and Ten Hag continues to be stubborn by playing Bruno out of position and Rashford out of position. I generally believe if Rashford gets back in his best position, if Bruno stays in his best position, we have Højlund fit and have a striker presence, and we actually replace Fred with Amrabat, Man United will be fine going into the season. I think when Maino returns and Amad Diallo returns, we'll improve. I think if we can get Amrabat, that is key. But I do think this season depends on if Man United sign Amrabat or not. They keep saying, oh, we can't get Amrabat unless we sell Donny van der Beek. We can't get Amrabat unless we sell Donny van der Beek. La-di-la, la-di-la, la-di-la. Yes, we can get Amrabat. Yes, we can get Amrabat. He's 25 million. We've just raised 20 million in sales, and we've got to raise another 5 million apparently before we can get Amrabat. Yes, we can get Amrabat. He's turned down other clubs. He's agreed to join us. And also, if you watched us play versus Spurs, if you watched us play versus Wolves, which the board probably haven't because the board have no interest in football, you would know that we need Amrabat. We need that player. The attack let us down yesterday. The attack was absolutely pony. And the thing is, people will go Ten Hag out. Ten Hag got it wrong. Ten Hag got it wrong in keeping Rashford at striker. When Sancho was very good centrally, the Sancho was so good centrally the whole of pre-season. I think, okay, Sancho's coming on, Rashford goes to the left. No, Sancho plays on the left. Sancho ended last season fantastic on the right. Sancho was in pre-season fantastic centrally. Sancho was poor last season when he played on the left. Let's play Sancho on the left and Rashford up top. Rashford is better on the left. Sancho is better centrally. That's where I'll question Ten Hag. And if Ten Hag wants to continue that and be stubborn, in a few games' time, maybe we'll have question marks over Ten Hag. But for me, to be turning on Ten Hag after 2 games is a joke. The people we should be turning on, and the point of this video, and the point I want to make in today's video and chat to you guys about, is the Glazers. The Glazers need to leave. The title is Glazers Leave. This is the purpose of the video, because I generally believe that it's not Ten Hag's fault that Man United have created the 2nd most chances in the Premier League in the opening 2 game weeks and got 1 goal from an XG of 5. Is that Ten Hag's fault, or is it the fact that we've got pony attackers, awful recruitment team, and Glazers that won't act on the fact that Manchester United need a DM right now? Ten Hag's fault was playing Rashford through the middle, playing Bruno out wide. Does Arteta play Saka up front and Odegaard out wide to accommodate, you know, other players? No, he doesn't. Would Pep Guardiola play De Bruyne on the right wing to accommodate Phil Foden? No, he played Phil Foden on the right wing to accommodate De Bruyne because De Bruyne is their best player. This is where Ten Hag's going wrong. And Ten Hag needs to think about dropping players like Anthony, maybe playing Sancho on the right, maybe playing Pellistri on the right. That's something Ten Hag's got to think about. But it's not Ten Hag's fault that we haven't replaced Fred, because Fred, I will tell you this now, is a very important player, and Fred would be having a lot of use this season. It is not Ten Hag's fault in the slightest that we haven't replaced Fred. We can't go and get annoyed at Ten Hag for that. That is on the board. We should have got Amrabat. There's no doubt in my mind. You know, the big problem is, you know, we don't have a good recruitment team. Rangnick, who suggested we sign the likes of Enzo Fernandez and Enzo Fernandez and Julian Alvarez, who would walk into the side and elevate us, Rangnick got the sack. You know, we don't have good recruitment. We don't have good owners. And what Man United need is Qatar. And the only way we're getting Qatar is if they make a new bid of $6 billion. And this is what we need. The answer to the solution is the Glazers must leave and Qatar must make a $6 billion bid. Qatar needs, because the Glazers will sell the club if they get $6 billion, and this stalling is to get $6 billion. That is what we need. Glazers, make $6 billion bid now, please. That is the title of the video. Because if we get rid of the Glazers, we get Qatari, we get a new board, we get a new recruitment side, we get better players. Because I know we signed Højlund and he's injured, and that is not the board's fault. But Manchester United's most important position, Man United's key #1 position, the thing that Man United needed to do this season more than anything else was make sure they had a starting striker for the first game of the season. And ideally, that would have been Harry Kane. That was not the case. Man United dropped points versus Spurs and dropped points versus Wolves because, one, they were rubbish, but two, had they taken their chances, it could have been a different game. Because to score 1 goal from 7 big chances created, to have an XG of 5 and score 1 goal from it, that highlights the attackers were pony. There's problems with the midfield. There's a lack of balance with the midfields. The fullbacks got caught out defensively. There's a few problems at United. But Rashford playing centrally is a problem. It's like 10 men, and that is on Ten Hag. But the big problem is we wouldn't be playing Rashford centrally if the board went out there at the beginning of the season and got Harry Kane, which was hard to get. But Qatar would have gotten. Tell me if you don't believe me, Qatar would have gotten Harry Kane. Qatar would have paid 100 million plus. They would 120 million. They would have paid. They would have got Harry Kane. Harry Kane would be starting centrally. Rashford would be on the left, and Anthony would be on the right. And if Anthony was pony on the right, we've got Pellistri, we've got Sancho to play on the right, and we probably would have got Rasmus Højlund on top as a backup striker, like City have got Alvarez and Haaland. Had Manchester United got Qatar in, had we got the Qataris in, we'd be starting that game with a striker up top. Had we started the Spurs game with a striker up top and created 4 big chances in the first half, missing a few sitters, do you think Man United could have possibly gone at halftime versus Spurs 1 or 2-0 up? Yes. Then the second half, we conceded within 5-10 minutes and collapsed. Had we not conceded that goal, had Anthony not hit the post and equalised right away, maybe it'd have been a different game. We collapsed, 1, because Ten Hag got his tactics wrong and didn't adapt to the problem, but 2, we collapsed because of the mentality of the players. We collapsed because of the mentality. We collapsed because of the lack of characters in the dressing room. You know, there was a mentality issue. There was an issue with these players because these players aren't as bad as they're playing. You know, Rashford's clearly not happy. Rashford's clearly not happy he's playing through the middle. You can tell that he's not happy he's playing through the middle. You know, these players aren't happy. And there was a mentality collapse because when we score 1 goal away from home, when we concede a goal away from home, we collapse. Same problems as last season. That is the problem at United. Had we got new owners, had we got a striker in for the start of the season, we probably would have gone 1-0 up. And I generally believe if we'd gone 1-0 up, it would have been a different game because the players collapsed. I'm not making excuses for Ten Hag here. I'm not making excuses for United, but it is not Ten Hag's fault that we go into the opening game of the season without a striker that is fit. Yes, he wanted Højlund, but the board should be making sure first game of the season, you don't have a striker, there is Harry Kane there in the lineup. The board should also be making sure that Mason Mount wasn't our only midfield signing. Because I'm sorry, I'm not going to go in on Mason Mount. Mason Mount in the first half was one of Man United's best players. And if you disagree with me, you've got an agenda. Do I think Mason Mount, Bruno, Casemiro work? No, there's a lack of balance. But do I think it can work? Yes. Do I think it can only work against smaller sides? Yes. Do I think it's going to work at Anfield? No. Do I think it's going to work at Etihad? No. Do I think our best midfield 3 would be Casemiro, Amrabat, Bruno? Absolutely. Do I think Bruno should play central, only central, or Mount should be going out wide to accommodate Bruno? Yes. Do I think Rashford should stick on the left wing and we need to get a striker in if that's not going to be the case? Yes. Absolutely. Ten Hag got things wrong. But we did not have a striker for the opening game of the season. And the fact that Amrabat is sitting there for 25 million, the fact that we've watched the Wolves game and we've watched the Spurs game, and we can literally see with our own eyes that Manchester United is sat there crying out for a player like Amrabat, that is the board's fault for not acting on that. And if we had Qatar right now, they'd be going for Amrabat right now. Alice, too many Spurs played better. Ten Hag needs to learn from his mistakes. That's the takeaway. And I agree. The only reason there's a lot of ifs on this video is I see people going Ten Hag out. This is worse than Ollie. This is worse than Ollie. Ten Hag was crap the first 2 games of last season. He adapted it. Man United overcome. The only reason there's a lot of ifs is because I'm trying to be positive. I'm trying to take the focus away from Ten Hag out. Ten Hag was stubborn. Ten Hag's stubbornness will cost him his job. If Ten Hag continues to be stubborn with this Mason Mount obsession with playing Bruno out wide, playing Rashford centrally, Ten Hag could lose his job. But I don't want the focus to be on Ten Hag. I don't want the focus and the pressure to be on Ten Hag. Because when the focus and the pressure is on Ten Hag, that means there's less focus and pressure on the Glazers. Do we not learn as a fan base? I see people turning on Ten Hag, and he was stubborn. He was at fault. Ten Hag was at fault these opening 2 games, I agree. But I see people turning on Ten Hag. Do we not learn as a fan base? Every single manager we get, they have a good season, we turn on them. We'll get a new manager that have a good season, we'll back them, we'll turn on them. We'll get a new manager have a good season, back them, turn on them. It is an endless cycle. It's an absolutely endless cycle. And the only way we end the cycle is if those people go. If those people go. I mean, look, people are saying we need to calm down. It could get better. There's a good comment here. Eric Ten Hag should drop Anthony. Mount and Garnacho should be dropped. Also, the fitness levels is too bad. I mean, how would you line up going into next game, guys? Everybody in the chat, how would you line up going into next game? Because the way I line up, the way Man United should be lining up personally for me is Onana in goal, Wan-Bissaka right back, Luke Shaw left back, Martinez left centre back, Varane right centre back. Back five's fine. I know that we weren't great, but Varane was fantastic. Casemiro should be playing. And I would be playing Eriksen alongside Casemiro. And then I would be playing Bruno in the 10 role. I then would be playing probably Sancho on the right, Martial up top, and Rashford on the left. But if Martial was not fit, I'd be playing Sancho through the middle, Pellistri on the right, and Rashford on the left. That's what I'd be doing. Thank you very much for the super chat. I love Man United. Best credit card ever, says Abraham bloody Glazer. Get out. Get out. Thank you for the super chat. On 112 likes, guys. Let's go for 500 likes before the end of the live stream. Please do smash that like button. If I'm not having a go at Ten Hag, I want the focus to be on Glazers out. The reason for this video is I want a message for everyone in and around United to be Glazers out, Glazers out, Glazers out. How many managers have tried to change Rashford, Shaw, Bruno, etc. mentality? I mean, 2. But the problem isn't Rashford, Shaw, and Bruno. I will tell you this now. Man United, the second half was shambles from absolutely everyone. Varane and Onana were the only players that were a 6 or above in the second half. Varane and Onana. That was it. Everyone else in the second half was a disgrace. Okay? The midfield in the first half was all right. We did get played through easily, but it created chances. Okay? The big problem from that game was Ten Hag's stubbornness to change his tactics and the front 3. The front 3 is not working. The front 3 is not good enough. Garnacho, I'm not going in on Garnacho. I don't want anyone to be critical of Garnacho. He's an 18, 19-year-old kid, and he should be used here, now, and then, start a few games, but mostly as a sub. Garnacho is fine, but he makes most of his impact as a sub. Rashford, he was awful. He was like playing with 10 men. He cannot play centrally. And, of course, Anthony needs to be dropped. I will agree with that. I do think, though, and this is why I'm saying let's not be too negative. I think when Højlund comes back in, and he would have feasted on the chances we have versus Spurs. Højlund comes back in, Rashford goes to the left, Maino returns from injury, and if we get Amrabat, we'll be a much better side. Because imagine if we start lining up with Casemiro, Kobbie Mainoo and Bruno in the midfield, or Casemiro, Amrabat, Bruno in the midfield. Every now and then Mason Mount plays out wide because of how poor our wingers are. We've got Sancho or Pellistri to play on the right. We've got Højlund up top and Rashford on the left. We instantly become a much better side. And there's instantly a lot of reasons to be positive as well. Alice, do you think we made a mistake selling Fred? He was crucial against teams like Man City and Barcelona. I do. I think if we do not sign Amrabat, or if we do not sign another midfielder this window, then we were absolutely idiotic to sell Fred. Because Amrabat should have been about replacing Fred. Amrabat shouldn't be a replacement for Fred and Donny. That's 2 players. Amrabat and Gravenberch can be a replacement for Fred and Donny, but Amrabat should be a replacement for Fred. Amrabat was going to replace Fred. We sold Fred. We didn't make a move for Amrabat. And the United sources are saying, oh, Amrabat depends on Donny. No, Amrabat is a Fred replacement. Amrabat is literally coming in to do the Fred role. Us signing Amrabat should not depend on Donny Van de Beek going as well. You sell Fred, you sign Amrabat, because Fred arguably was better. The second half of the season, Fred was better than Eriksen. He was, and he was better than McTominay. Our best team towards the end of the season was Casemiro, Fred, Bruno, midfield three. We sell Fred, we don't sign a midfielder. We also already Sabitzer, which is fine, but we don't, Mount's come in, cool. But Mount isn't a Fred replacement. If the United board are trying to act like Mount's our Fred replacement, they couldn't be more wrong. Mount is a 10, Fred was an 8 that could play as a 6. Mount is an attacking 8 and a 10. Mount is not a Fred replacement. The fact that Fred has been sold and there's not even been an Amrabat bid when Liverpool are lurking around the corner when we agreed personal terms with him 2 months ago when he's available for 25 million. It's not like they're doing a Caicedo and we've got to pay 90 million for Amrabat. The player we need, the player we've been crying out for these last 2 games is there, available on the market for 25 million. And, if we sign Amrabat, it's good business selling Fred. But if we generally sell Fred and think, nah, we're not going to sign a replacement, we are off our mind. We are absolutely off our mind, honestly, as well. Alice, I can't wait for a Sheikh Yassin new bid. I mean, I don't know if he's going to make a new bid, but there's rumours that he's going to make a new bid, and that came out from the Sun, so I kind of ignored that. But the only way we're getting out of this mess is if Sheikh Yassin puts in a new bid, because this cycle will never end with the Glazers. This cycle will never end with Glazer ownership. Let's go for 500 likes, please, as well. Højlund will be ready for the Arsenal game September 3rd, so that's 2 more games. But I tell you what, I have to say one thing about Ten Hag. Ten Hag needs to change that side. Going into the game against Forest, Ten Hag needs to change that side, because if Ten Hag doesn't change that side, that's when I start having, that's when I'd be worried. If Ten Hag goes into the Nottingham Forest game and he does not change that team whatsoever, that's when I'm worried. Højlund should be back for Arsenal. We've got Nottingham Forest next Saturday at 3 o'clock. 3 o'clock kickoff, not televised. Great. This is when we need major changes. This Nottingham Forest game, I want to see Anthony on the bench. I want to see Anthony on the bench, and I want to see Rashford on the left wing. That's what I want to see. I want to see Anthony on the bench. I want to see Rashford on the left wing. I'm not too bothered if he starts Casemiro, Bruno, Mount midfield free, because I actually do think, I know a lot of people critical of Mount, but I thought Mount was good in that first half. But I want to see Anthony on the bench, and I want to see Rashford on the left, because if we make those same mistakes, if we go into 3, 4, 5, 6 games in a row, continuing to play Anthony, continue to play Rashford centrally, that's when you've got to go, ooh, it's on Ten Hag. Jacko says, need another DM. Casemiro on his own will not stop, been run through by the opposition as well. 100%. And this is why we need Amrabat, because Amrabat can play as a DM, and then if something happens to Casemiro, if Casemiro needs a break or a rest, we can drop Casemiro. But also we need Amrabat for the pure sense of Casemiro needs support. Eriksen is a 10 that plays next to Casemiro. Mount is a 10 that plays next to Casemiro. McTominay is not good enough. We have no other midfielders to do that role. There was Fred, and Fred worked. So if we actually think about it, Amrabat is what we need. Because I tell you this right now, and call me crazy, but our most balanced midfield 3 would be Casemiro, a 17-year-old Kobbie Mainoo, and Bruno Fernandes. A 17-year-old is getting in our most balanced front 3. And while Kobbie Mainoo is an absolutely brilliant, technically talented player, and I'm absolutely a massive fan of Kobbie Mainoo, the fact that Kobbie Mainoo gets in our best midfield 3 at 17, 18 years of age, when we're meant to be in the second season of this rebuild, speaks a lot. Now, this is no discredit to Mason Mount. I actually thought he was a lot better than people were making out yesterday, but there is a lack of balance there. We should have signed a midfielder that can retain the ball. We could have signed a midfielder that's actually a player that is an 8 and will play next to Casemiro. Is actually a player that can play next to Casemiro. We're playing a 10 and an 8 role. We should have been playing an actual 8. We need Frankie de Jong. We need Enzo Fernandez. We need Barella, Frankie de Jong, Enzo Fernandez would be fantastic next to Casemiro. Caicedo would have been fantastic next to Casemiro. We went for Mason Mount and played him out of position, and we've just got to hope that he adapts. It works. I think it can work, but not in these big kind of games. I think it lacks balance. Right now, if we do not sign Amrabat, we are begging for Kobbie Mainoo to come back from injury, because Casemiro, Kobbie Mainoo, and Bruno Fernandes would be our most balanced midfield 3, because McTominay can't do that role. Eriksen and Mount are 10s that are playing as an 8, which is brilliant if that's what Ten Hag wants, but it's the Premier League, it's not the Eredivisie. United need Amrabat because he can play in Casemiro's role. We've got backup for Casemiro. He can play next to Casemiro as well. Check Mason Mount's stats. Honestly, Mason Mount, I know a lot of people look, I wasn't a big fan of Mason Mount signing. I've said here, I don't see the 100% the need for Mason Mount. I don't see 100% the need for Mason Mount, but Mason Mount is becoming the scapegoat. I could name again, Mason Mount hasn't been anywhere near our worst player these last 2 games. Anthony has been worse. The front 3 has let us down. Mason Mount was better than Casemiro. And I tell you what, I've had a bone to pick. Anyone who's starting to... There are certain fans going out there calling Casemiro the problem. Any fans calling Casemiro the problem, you're mad. It's not Casemiro's fault he's getting no support. Amrabat won't solve this. Our wide players are useless. This Anthony guy is killing me. Says IQ insane. I mean, look, I'm worried about Anthony. I've been patient with Anthony. I'm backing Anthony. I'm saying we need to give Anthony time. You know, Garnacho's a kid. He can get off. Rashford's playing out of position, but there's no excuse for Anthony. His decision-making is poor. Everything around Anthony is poor as well. Fred always played good versus Spurs. Won 202 likes, guys, so please do keep smashing this like button. My mouse, I don't know what's going on with my mouse. I'm trying to scroll through the live chat, and it keeps freezing out as well. It keeps freezing out. I'm just having a look at your guys' lineup. Anana, Delo, Martinez, Varane, Alvaro Fernandez, Casemiro, Ericsson, Bruno, Mount. Pretty much dropping the big players there as well. Erik Ten Hag knows he won't be sacked because we can't afford his payoff terms. I don't think Erik Ten Hag is going to be sacked, but the point of this video is, you know, people are putting pressure on Erik Ten Hag. Erik Ten Hag's job right now is under pressure. There are fans of the Ten Hag out. I don't agree with that. I think it's crazy to be Ten Hag out after 2 games. I get that he was stubborn. I don't agree with his decisions keeping Rashford centrally, but this is a guy that massively overachieved, won us a trophy and did brilliant stuff last season off the back of our worst ever season. This is the guy that I believe if the board had signed Harry Kane and had signed Amrabat, it would have been a different game. Had we got Amrabat and Harry Kane in that lineup, I do think it would be a different game. So, you know, the criticism of Ten Hag, yeah, we can criticise him, but I wouldn't be Ten Hag out at all. We'll go, want 290 likes, guys. Let's go for 300 likes as well. Mount being played out of position. People saying Casemiro's the problem. I don't think Casemiro's the problem. Casemiro's getting old, but he can't do it alone. Yeah, Casemiro's old. People practice like Jamie Carragher. You know, when we're losing, are pushing this Casemiro agenda. I think it's absolutely madness. I think it's absolutely bizarre. We're losing, and Jamie Carragher's like, oh, look, guys, I was right about Casemiro. Oh, look, guys, I was right about Casemiro. I don't know what Jamie Carragher's on. You know, us losing, yes, Casemiro wasn't brilliant, but us losing is about the front three lacking clinicalness, the lack of balance in midfield, and Casemiro getting no hope. No help. There are some idiots trying to say, oh, it's Casemiro, he's the problem, he's the problem, he's the problem. Yes, he's not been great, but let's not act like Casemiro was arguably our best and most important player throughout the most of last season. Yes, he's a slow burner. Yes, he's a slow starter. Yes, he hasn't been great. But if you honestly sit here and believe that Casemiro is the problem at Manchester United right now, I honestly think you need to go to Specsavers because, yes, there are some issues there. But 1, he hasn't got help. And 2, you've got idiots like Carragher who are going to make out that Casemiro is the problem and he's not good enough. Getting another DM in there, unless it's Rodri, the best DM in the world, it's not really going to make much of a difference because the lack of the balance, the lack of help, it's not going to make an absolute difference. Bringing in Kobbie Mainoo back from injury to play next to Casemiro deeper, bringing in an Amrabat to play next to Casemiro, that will make a difference, you know. You know, we can swap Casemiro for Rodri, but we still got Anthony on the right-hand side. So for anyone that thinks Casemiro is the problem, I think you're absolutely nuts. I think you're absolutely nuts. No Bruno, not Mount. What is going on with my mouse? Do you know what's really annoying? Is I've got a mouse and it's really annoying. So I'm going to have to use my annoying scroll pad because I'm trying to click on comments as well. No Bruno, not Mount. Good as an 8. Need a ball in midfielder. We need a midfielder that can retain the ball and retain possession better. 100% as well. Keep smashing the likes because I want to get into a few things as well. This is more of a chat live stream than a news live stream. But where's Fred when you need him? Balance is met at the start. Midfield's a mess as well. We are linked to Verratti. I don't think there's much in it. I honestly think the Verratti links is PR because the board know we need a midfielder. We're getting annoyed and all of that as well. The board know we need a midfielder. I'm just scrolling through the live chat as well. Carragher's on a mad one blaming Casemiro as well. Alice changed the battery. You're probably making a good point there about my mouse. But you know what inspired this video actually? I saw a few things and mostly it was the people tweeting, oh, Ten Hag out, Ten Hag out. There's fans turning on Ten Hag and, you know, I've been in a really bad mood today, but thank you to Chelsea for being worse than Manchester United and Chelsea were against 10 men. You know, I expect the United side would have been better for playing against 10 men, but I saw a really good tweet and I want to share my screen with you and I want to read this out because this tweet makes good points. And this was this. It was said, Ten Hag was successful in Ajax because he had a proper supportive structure around him that supports him and supports his ideas. At Man United, we lack any proper structure above the manager. Since the days of Mourinho, this has been our biggest issue why managers fail at United. And I think this tweet is absolutely spot on, people. Okay, Ten Hag is a good manager, but for Ten Hag to succeed, he needs a good structure around him. You know, Ten Hag went to the board a week ago and demanded a striker. we can see why Ten Hag demanded a striker a week ago, because I don't think Ten Hag really likes playing Rashford centrally. I don't think Ten Hag wants to rely on Højlund and an injured Martial throughout the whole season, because Ten Hag knows Højlund isn't 100% ready, and Ten Hag knows Martial can't play 90 minutes. So Ten Hag's gone to the board, he's demanded a striker, and he's demanded they sign Amrabat, and the board has done there and done nothing. At Ajax, the board would have been like, doesn't matter about FFP, we'll find a way to balance it. We need this because we're going to be screwed this season. We need this quick. The board, oh, well, we've still got another 2 weeks left till the transfer window closes, so we're going to take our sweet time. Grow up. And, you know, at Man United, we don't have this structure. And this is why managers fail. It's not that Ten Hag's a bad manager. Mourinho wasn't a bad manager. Van Gaal wasn't a bad manager. You know, but when you have to be a miracle worker, and that is Sir Alex Ferguson is the only miracle worker in football to survive under the Glazers because we lack structure. You've got to finish it. You've got to remember this. And this was the point of the tweet. Man United failed to get Ten Hag's first priority targets and even second, so they went for the third and fourth priority targets. They did not cover all the positions he needed, and they did not sell the players he needed selling. Guardiola is given all the freedom, all the time to experiment with his players, and if new signings failed, he's allowed to sell and buy again until it works, which is true. Guardiola was open to selling Calvin Phillips this summer. Man United, if they signed a player last year, they wouldn't let the club sell them this year. Arteta has been given the green light by Arsenal to remove whoever he likes and buy whoever he likes, and given time and patience to build. And now everyone who asked for his head can see the progress. Our players are spoiled, and many managers before Ten Hag, they are very weak mentally. They regress upon every contract renewal. They drop after every goal we concede. Plus, we still have many bad apples in the dressing room. So people who are walking into the same trap we've been into 3 times before, it's nothing but baffling behaviour. The problem is we've got players with a weak mentality. We need to give the manager time to learn, grow, and adapt. But if the board aren't going to sell who the manager wants to sell and buy who the manager wants to buy, we cannot progress, because that's what Arsenal are doing. That's what City do. That's what Liverpool do. But I'm impressed by our players, for real. Being able to con this fan base 3 or 4 times in a row, convince people that they are once in a lifetime talent and they're just being mismanaged by a bad coach is nothing but impressive for me. And it's true. It's absolutely true. The problem is the ownership. The players have got weak mentalities. Ten Hag has been stubborn with his mistakes, but let's not be going on this Ten Hag out this, Ten Hag out that, blah 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 blah. And let's take a look at it and go, actually, you know what? The biggest problem at this club is the owners. The title of this video is Glazers leave now, Qatar bid now, because that is the way. That is the way we get back. It's not about dropping Mason Mount. It's not about why did we sell Mason Mount. It's not about, Anthony's rubbish. Could be improvements there, but it's about these owners, how bad they are, how little they care. That is what it's about, and, we have this 3-season thing that goes round and round. Every 3 seasons, manager sack. We've got this 3-season cycle. Buy a manager, sign a manager, back him, good season, bad season, fans turn, sack a manager, new manager, good season. But we've got this 3-year cycle, and this 3-year cycle is never going to stop until the Glazers go. But look, Anthony is just awful, and he does need to get benched. I agree. Every manager has a weak point. Ten Hag loves Anthony, and that's going to get him sacked. Anthony's too predictable and overrated. Yes and no. Anthony deserves to be dropped off the back of his performance. I actually thought the opening 10 minutes, Anthony was the best player. And then the last 80 minutes, he was absolutely dreadful. And I think, off the basis, if Ten Hag wants to earn respect from the dressing room, then yes, Anthony needs to be dropped. And someone like Facundo Pellistri or Sancho needs to be playing on the right-hand side. I absolutely agree with that. But I don't think that Anthony will be the reason that we fail. I think that Anthony stretches the width of the play. I think that Anthony tracks back. And I think that the other players play better when Anthony's on the pitch, despite Anthony not retaining possession. The problem is we don't have wingers or a front 3 that can hold the ball and retain possession. We've got 2 direct wingers that lack decision-making. Garnacho is young, so that's just a natural thing. That couldn't keep the ball in the final third. So the only way you make up for that is having a striker that's good at holding up the ball. Now, Martial's all right at that. Rashford can't do that. So when you've got Rashford that can't hold up the ball and 2 direct wingers that can't hold the ball, there's no... the front 3 just do not retain the ball well at all. I think that Jadon Sancho would have been very valuable because he knows how to keep the ball. Sometimes we complain, sometimes we get frustrated with Jadon Sancho because we're like, look at, Garnacho, he just comes on and he does more than Sancho's done in 80 minutes and 5 minutes. And Garnacho does because he's direct. Garnacho there's many times where Sancho's played, he's been there, and Garnacho comes on and shows him up in 5 minutes. But what Sancho does is he's the only winger that can do this, because Garnacho, Rashford and Antony are all direct. Is why we sometimes complain that Sancho's too reserved. Just take a shot, Sancho, run at them. Sancho knows how to keep possession. And I think when you need to control games, when you're not doing that, a player like Sancho is important. And this is why I go back to this day and say, I want to see Sancho on the right. I want to see Rashford on the left. And I would like to see Højlund up top when he's back from injury. Because Højlund's a proper striker that's going to be making those runs. Rashford is direct and he's going to be linking up well with Højlund. But then we've got Sancho to help control, regain the ball, and actually someone that's going to cross the ball into Højlund. I don't know if Antony's crosses will be on it. You know, Pellistri even. Pellistri, Højlund, Rashford, or Sancho, Højlund, Rashford. And then you've got Garnacho there as a great impact sub. That's what I want to see. Because I think if you've got Højlund back from injury, Kobbie Mainoo back from injury to help the midfield, and you sign Amrabat, I think we instantly become a miles better side. And that's why I'm not going to be saying Ten Hag out, because I want to see how he plays when Højlund's back, when Rashford's back on the left. I want to see if he can get Kobbie Mainoo back in, and if we see Mount maybe played out of position. But I will, if Ten Hag goes into this season and we continue to play like this, and he continues to play Bruno out wide and continues to play Rashford through the middle when Arteta and Pep never do that, that's when we start having question marks over Ten Hag. But not after 2 games, because if people were writing them off after 2 games last season, look what happened. If Ten Hag can change it after 2 disastrous games last season, he can change it after 2 disastrous games this season. The only thing I didn't like about Ten Hag was his post-match interview, where I felt like that Ten Hag was trying to defend his ways and defend his method throughout the whole post-match interview. That's the only thing I didn't like from Ten Hag. For me, it was like he was saying the midfield was good. Yeah, it was all right in the first half, but it was awful in the second half. The whole front 6 was awful in the second half. And people will scapegoat the midfield, but it was the attack for me. But the focus needs to be on Glazers out. The Glazers will sell the club if Qatar put in another bid. I'm saying we need Qatar to make a bid. There's transfer news coming out today that Martial's leaving. We're signing a striker. There's transfer news coming out today about us getting a Verratti in. Have you seen me cover that transfer news today? No, because that is PR, and that is distraction. The focus needs to be on Glazers out, not Ten Hag out. Glazers out. That's what 100% the focus needs to be on at this club. We've got a super chat here. Thank you very much for the super chat. Alice, you sound cute when you change your voice. My crush since last year, and calm down, we'll be fine. Thank you very much for the super chat. I'm trying to be calm. I'm ranting at the Glazers. I have no issue with Ten Hag. I have no issue with Antony. I have no issue with Mason Mount. Players need to be dropped. Things need to be changed. System needs to be adapted. All achievable. My whole rant is on the Glazers. I'm not actually overly worried, believe it or not. I'm not overly worried. But big up for the super chat. Sorry, it took me like 4 minutes to see that as well. Ten Hag needs to wake up. I think he's not getting it. I'm not going to. I started to read a comment and then it got a bit rude at the end. Let me scroll down the chat. We're really close to 300 likes, guys. So can we hit that 300 like target? Would be much appreciated. Asif, thanks. I think the Glazers will stay. The Glazers can't stay. The video is Glazers leave now. That is the video. Glazers leave now. They cannot stay as well. 2 games in and all the thickos are wanting instant success. Look, it's a long rebuilding project. Arteta got many seasons. Absolutely got many seasons. And look, I'm going to read some things out that I saw today. I bookmarked a few things that I thought were really important points. I'm not interested in the transfer news. I'm interested in this. I actually want to show you something quickly. I want to show you something that I saw actually that highlights a lot more than you think. I'm going to show you some statistics from the game. I think, the reason I'm going to show you these statistics from the game is because I think these statistics say an awful lot. I really do think these statistics say an awful lot about the game, how we've played, and more. So what I'm going to do is Chelsea have lost 3-1. So smash the like button if that's up. Is my screen shared or not? No, my screen's not shared. Let me get this up for you here. Let me get this up here. Okay, I'm going to share my screen with you people. There we go. Let's get this up here. As you can see from here, physical data from Tottenham 2, Manchester United 0. Okay, distance covered. Tottenham ran 5 kilometers further than us. Sprints. Now this is embarrassing. Sprints is awful. Yeah, that is what 64 sprints more. 60 more sprints more. High speed runs, 145 more high speed runs. Okay, this can't really be bothered to do the maths. 44, 140, 76 plus 44, 180, 220 more low speed runs than us. They did. Okay, 220 more. Jogging, still, a good 39 more in jogging. Walking, we beat them. We weren't just beaten technically, we were beaten physically. Why do we look so unfit? What we looked, it wasn't just about the second half being poor. It was about the fact that Tottenham was so much fitter than us and played with a higher intensity than us. And this is why it's not just about Ten Hag's tactics. Especially when you look at sprints and high-speed runs. They covered more distance, they ran more than us, we walked more than them. We weren't matching their intensity. We weren't running as much as them, putting in as much effort as them, matching their levels from a physical standpoint. So, again, that's what I see as well. It's about the players lacking effort. Ten Hag needs to be less stubborn, but Ten Hag also needs the players and the board need to do their job. Maybe it's not fitness, maybe it's desire, as Stephanie says. Maybe it's desire as well. Man United didn't turn up in the second half. We were okay in the first half. But we were awful in the second half. Absolutely awful. Hi, listen, chat, really buzzing with West Ham 3-1 win. How are we all? You know what, Daniel? We're all in a much better mood that Chelsea have lost, so we feel like we're not the only Big Seven team that is bad at the moment. So thank you very much to West Ham as well. Thank you very much to West Ham. I say that as well. We're on 308 likes, guys, so please do smash that like button. Of course, subscribe down below. Share the video if you're new. Get a few live chats in as well. I have to say, Spurs were impressive yesterday. Chelsea and United battle for 6th place. Chelsea is the one thing is, we've spent money, but we've not spent anywhere near the level of money Chelsea have spent. When you look at the level of money Chelsea have spent, the fact that they had 3 players on their pitch today that cost over £100 million and couldn't do anything against a 10-man West Ham side, and you look at that, we've spent a third of what Chelsea have spent. We have less players, we have more injury trouble. I thought that Chelsea looked really good against Liverpool, and maybe Liverpool are just really bad, and hopefully they are. But I'd be more concerned if I was a Chelsea fan than a United fan right now. Despite the money Chelsea are spending, despite that, Chelsea and Man United both don't have a clinical attacker, and that's costing them. Chelsea have Caicedo and Enzo Fernandez, and good for them. But at the end of the day, Man United will have Kobbie Mainoo and Amad Diallo to return. That would improve us. Despite them being very young players, systematically, especially Kobbie Mainoo, him next to Casemiro will improve us. Okay, so Kobbie Mainoo returning, that is going to improve Manchester United, 100%. Yeah. If we sign Amrabat, that's going to improve us. Bringing Højlund is going to improve us, not even because Rashford can play on the left that way. We can improve. Chelsea can improve. But we can look at the Glazers and say they've not done enough. They should have got Harry Kane. If the Glazers had gone out there and they'd signed Harry Kane and they'd signed Moises Caicedo and they'd signed Onana and they'd signed Ten Hag Todibo or Tim Min-jae and then they'd also signed Ten Hag Mason Mount and they'd done all of this good work and you were playing like this, that's when you'd be more critical of the manager. Chelsea have gone and bought everyone left, right and centre. I tell you what, Man United look better than Chelsea as well. Does anyone think our work rate is probably our weakest attribute? We never look as active as or more active than our opponents, and that's what lost us the game. And that was the point of me showing this physical data. That's what lost us the game, as you can see by the statistics. The poor work rate lost Man United the game today, and that's something that needs to be fixed. But the players' attitude needs to improve. The board needs to improve. Ten Hag needs to make changes. The board, the players, and Ten Hag all have work to do. And if they all do that work, and ideally Qatar put some work in and put in a new bid, we can maybe achieve that. Because I tell you what, Arteta finished 8th, 5th, and 5th over 2.5 years under a regime that tried to shake things up. Ten Hag in his third season got third and a trophy. Arteta took 3 seasons to get in the top 4. 3.5 seasons it took Arteta to get in the top 4. Ten Hag in his third season and won a trophy with the likes of Weghorst, had the Ronaldo issues. Ten Hag is capable. He needs the backing. He is. The players also need to work harder. It's not Ten Hag's fault that the attack a pony and can't score a goal. It's not Ten Hag's fault that Tottenham are outrunning us in every single way. The players need to do better. They need to work harder. Ten Hag needs to be less stubborn with his tactics and stop this Rashford in the middle and Bruno out wide nonsense. The board need to act seriously and go and get Amrabat. Maybe even look at another striker, force Maguire out, force Martial out, force Dean Henderson out, raise some funds. 10 days left in the transfer window. The board need to go out and act seriously. They really do. But the players also need to improve. Some people will write Ten Hag off 2 games into his second season. But let's be honest, he's inherited the worst United squad in history. He lost several members of that squad. Pogba, Cavani, Mata, Matic. They were key players that never replaced. You know, last season he lost his first 2 games. He didn't have a recognised striker all season. He had the Ronaldo situation. He had to stand up to one of the biggest characters in football. He's had the ownership shambles, the Greenwood shambles. He won us a trophy. He's got us back in the top 4. He changed the mood around the club. You know, first 2 games of this season have been awful, but we've seen Ten Hag have 2 bad games and adapt. You know, this is a project, and you know what winds me up is I think there's more going on in the club than we think. I think there's stuff in the background. I think the way that the club has handled this Mason situation, I think the fact that this takeover seems to be on off is a distraction for the player. And I think these owners need to come out and say exactly what's going on with the takeover. They just say the words, we are holding it up because we're waiting for Qatar to put in another bid, because that's what we know you're doing. And say the words, we are stupidly delaying the Mason situation and we're idiots. Sort out the Mason situation, sort out the takeover situation, stop the distractions from... Because you know what? Those at the top of the club aren't helping the players. And they're causing toxicity. And it's not helping the fans. And Ten Hag brought back the positive vibe around United last season. And we're going to lose that all. We're going to lose that all. Do you know what I mean? We're going to lose that all as well. West Ham might win. Maguire could change his mind. I do think Maguire being dropped from the squad, maybe there's a possibility he changes his mind. Mason Mount is being played in the wrong position, said Wildead. Still hasn't got one striker and got an improving kid. We need to sign a striker. We need to sign a Fred replacement. Fred had a lot of energy. Their course carried the whole team. Now they want to sell McTominay. It's not about buying. It's about the players who have the right spirit. Their course wasn't good enough. McTominay's got the right spirit, but not good enough. Fred had the right spirit, was hit and miss. It's about getting players that are good enough, but it's also about getting players with the right spirit. Because look, some of the players that weren't good enough, that had the right spirit, were more valuable to us than the players that are good enough with the wrong spirit. You know, Neymar doesn't have the best spirit, and Mbappe doesn't seem to have the best spirit. You get what I mean? You know, there's all of those things as well. But listen, people, I am probably going to wrap up today's live stream, so please do smash that like button. Of course, do subscribe down below if you're new. I'm going to be back with a transfer news video. Don't worry. This live stream was more of a rant. This live stream was more of an opportunity to talk about what's going on with Man United, more of an opportunity to talk about Ten Hag and all of that. There is going to be a live stream tonight about the transfer news. There is going to be a video tonight about the transfer news. You know, we will talk about transfers, but I wanted to talk more about the game. Fred might have needed support to look better. One thing that we've not done is build on a team and sign individuals that don't complement each other. I don't think Mount complements the midfield. The Qatar will not bid again. It'd be a waste of money. We've got to hope they do. So what's up with the yellow cards they've been handing out? Every single game seems to get red cards because the ridiculous amount of yellow cards being handed out. I have to say the yellow cards are being handed out like crazy. I mean, I think when Bruno got the yellow, he went bad. Bruno was good before the yellow, and then Bruno got the yellow. Bruno was like a 7, and then after the yellow card, Bruno was like a 1 out of 10. It wasn't like Bruno was all right and then he got bad. It was like Bruno was playing decent and then he was just horrific. So anything that he did decent that game, you're just like, yeah, no, he's been horrific since as well. Guys, the goal was 400 likes. We've got 338 likes, so please do smash that like button if you have not already. Subscribe down below, share the video, all of that stuff as well. Big up everybody in the chat as well. They're world-class players. Man U are never buying them, and we're not getting them since Fergie. We need to sign some players. Hopefully we do. I will be back tonight with a transfer news update. So I'll see you guys tonight. Smash a like, smash a subscribe. See you next time, and bye.